Most folks get social anxiety just trying to leave a group chat without making it weird. But these legends ditched maximum security fortresses using nothing but dental floss, condiment packets, and sheer nerves. From cartel bosses building private subways to a guy who literally shipped himself home like an Amazon package, here are 15 prison breaks that should be impossible, but actually happened. Number 1. Frank Morris and the Anglin brothers performed the ultimate DIY project at Alcatraz. They didn't have heavy machinery, they had spoons stolen from the mess hall. For months, they chipped away at the salty, crumbling concrete until they reached the service tunnels. To trick the guards, they sculpted fake heads out of soap, toilet paper, and actual human hair from the barber shop floor. While the guards were checking on sleeping dolls, the trio was paddling across the freezing San Francisco Bay on a raft of 50 glued-together raincoats. They literally wore their boat to freedom. Number 2. El Chapo proved that prison walls are just a suggestion if your bank account is bottomless. His engineers bought a house a mile away and dug a tunnel straight to his shower stall. But this wasn't some muddy crawl space. It had electric lighting, ventilation, and a custom motorcycle rigged to a rail system. One minute, he's stepping into the shower to wash up. The next, he's redlining a dirt bike underground like an action star. By the time the guards realized his shower was taking too long, he was likely sipping tequila in a different time zone. Number 3. Pascal Payet decided that climbing fences was for amateurs, so he took the scenic route. This French inmate organized a helicopter hijacking to pluck him right out of the exercise yard. But that's not even the wildest part. After being recaptured, he did it again with a second hijacked chopper. Just to show off, he eventually coordinated a third aerial extraction for 3 of his friends. At that point, the prison roof was basically operating as his private airport terminal. The guards should have just started charging for luggage. Number 4. Choi Gap-bak was a South Korean yoga master who essentially turned his body into a liquid. He waited for the night shift to doze off, slathered his entire body in massage oil, and squeezed through the food slot in his cell door. We're talking about a gap barely 6 inches tall. It's smaller than a standard shoebox. It took him only 30 agonizing seconds to dislocate his joints and flow through that slot like a human octopus. Most people groan just getting off the sofa, and this guy lubricated himself out of a steel cage.
Number 5. Richard Lee McNair holds the world's most claustrophobic getaway. He built a hollow space inside a pallet of mailbags, used a breathing tube, and buried himself under the cargo. He sat in that sweltering, airless box for hours while a forklift loaded him onto a delivery truck. When he finally cut himself out and started walking down the tracks, a cop actually stopped him. McNair was so charming and relaxed that he convinced the officer he was just a local out for a jog. He talked his way out of a manhunt while still covered in warehouse dust. Number 6. Yoshi Shiratori defeated the entire Japanese justice system using nothing but soup. He noticed the bolts on his cell's inspection window were getting rusty, so every single day he spat his salty miso soup onto the hardware instead of drinking it. He kept this up for months. The salt eventually ate through the metal enough for him to snap the frame and slide out. Imagine the level of patience required to weaponize your dinner. He literally rusted his way to liberty, one bowl of broth at a time. Number 7. John Dillinger escaped a death-proof jail using a piece of firewood. He carved a block of pine into the shape of a .38 Colt and blackened it with shoe polish. In the dim hallway light, it looked like the real deal. He waved this wooden toy at a guard, forced him to open the gate, and rounded up 33 people before locking them in his own cell. He then stole the sheriff's car and cruised away. An entire armed staff surrendered to a whittling project that wouldn't even scare a toddler in the daylight. Number 8. The Texas 7 pulled off a getaway that relied entirely on their theater skills.
They overpowered a maintenance crew, stole civilian clothes, and hit the armory. But instead of sprinting for the woods, they drove a prison truck straight to the main gate. They pretended to be outside contractors there to install security monitors. They were so calm and professional that the gate guard just smiled, opened the barrier, and waved them through. They literally waved goodbye to the man paid to keep them behind bars. Number 9. Michelle Vaujour had the most ride-or-die wife in human history. She spent months taking private helicopter lessons specifically for his breakout. On the big day, she piloted a chopper low over the Parisian prison, dodging watchtowers and spotlights. Michel fought his way to the roof, grabbed the landing skids, and they flew off into the sunset together. Most couples just go to the movies for their anniversary. This woman mastered aviation to airlift her husband out of a maximum security fortress. That is a terrifyingly high bar for romance. Number 10. Neil Moore didn't dig a hole or punch a guard. He just used the power of the reply all button. While locked up in the UK, he got hold of a contraband smartphone and built a perfect replica of the official court website. Then he emailed the prison's records department from his fake domain with a release order for himself. The email looked so legitimate that the staff simply printed it out, unlocked the front door, and wished him luck. He didn't break out. He politely asked the bureaucracy to let him go, and they fell for it.
Number 11. Stephen J. Russell is the undisputed king of the long con, and his escape was pure psychological warfare. To get out of a Texas prison, he began taking massive amounts of laxatives every day. He withered away until he looked like a ghost. He then used a prison typewriter to forge medical records, convincing the staff he had a terminal illness. He looked so close to death that they granted him special parole to go die in a nursing home. Once he was out, he stopped the laxatives, gained his weight back, and mailed the prison a fake death certificate. He literally pooped his way to freedom. Number 12. During World War II, Allied prisoners at Colditz Castle performed an engineering miracle. The castle sat on a high cliff and was considered inescapable, so the prisoners decided to fly. They built a full-scale glider in a hidden attic behind a fake wall. They used bed sheets for the wings, floorboards for the ribs, and telephone wires for the controls. They were literally building an aircraft right over the guards' heads. The war ended before they could take off, but modern engineers later proved the bedsheet kite actually worked. Number 13. Forrest Tucker was the legendary bank robber who refused to let old age slow him down. At 59, he was stuck in San Quentin, a fortress surrounded by water. Instead of giving up, he scavenged wood, plastic, and tape from the workshops and built a 14-foot kayak in secret. On the night of the break, he carried his homemade boat to the shore. The best part? He had painted the name Rub-a-Dub-Dub on the side. Imagine being the guard who has to report that an elderly man paddled away in a duct-tape canoe with a nursery rhyme on it. Number 14. Frank Abagnale, the real-life catch-me-if-you-can guy, pulled off the ultimate gaslight. He didn't climb a wall, he just convinced everyone he was an undercover prison inspector. He acted so arrogant and entitled that the guards were actually intimidated by him. He spent weeks evaluating the staff's performance and eventually told them he had to leave to file his official report. The guards opened the gate, saluted him, and watched him walk away. He escaped by pretending to be the boss of his own captors. Number 15. Jack Sheppard was the celebrity escape artist of 1700s London. He was truly unstoppable. In his most famous feat, he was chained to the floor in a strong room. He used a crooked nail to pick the locks on his irons, climbed up a chimney, smashed through 6 different iron-bolted doors, and picked the lock to the roof. He then lowered himself down using a bedsheet. He broke through more security layers in one night than most people do in a lifetime.
He was so famous that when he was finally caught, people sold shepherd merchandise in the streets. It's hard to decide what's more impressive, the engineering of a bedsheet glider or the sheer patience of a guy weaponizing miso soup. Which of these 15 escapes do you think required the most guts? Drop your pick in the comments below. If you enjoyed these stories of pure audacity, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss our next deep dive into history's wildest moments. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.